Hi, I'm Joseph Kraft. I'm the founder of thinkadoo.com. That's THINKAEDO.com. And I'm here to talk to you about philosophy. Before we get started, if you like this video, like it down there. Chances are if you like it, then you'll have friends that will like it too. And that benefits me. It lets me know that people are actually watching. So, what is philosophy? Well, philosophy is firstly it's the first academic discipline. All the other academic disciplines broke off at some point in the last 2,500 years from philosophy. The only real exception to that is revealed theology. So originally the scholars were philosophers, or they were theologians, or both. So the revealed theologians study the Bible. The philosophers study everything else, and then over time, as the different sciences got their own methodology and more specific fields of study, then they broke off from philosophy. So that's the first thing, is that philosophy is the original academic discipline. The second thing is that philosophy asks the questions that come before the questions that the other fields of study ask. So for example, religion asks questions like, how can we serve God? What does God ask of us? How can we approach God? What does God do for us? And philosophy asks questions that come even before that, like, does God exist? If God exists, what are His attributes? What does it mean to say God? What is it that God must have that without it, He's not even God? It doesn't make sense. Must God be omnipotent, for example? Omnipotence means all-powerful. If God must be all-powerful, then characters like Zeus, who are very powerful but not all-powerful, certainly can't be God. They don't fit the definition. Another example would be a question such as, does God ask us to do the right thing because it's the right thing, or is it the right thing because God asks us to do that? That's another philosophic question, and it's one that lots of literature has been written on. The sciences ask for accurate descriptions of the material world. They ask for, well, philosophy then would ask a prior question of, does the material world exist in the first place? Or if it exists, how do we can we have direct knowledge of the material world? That's a very important question. Is when I'm looking at the camera, can I be certain that the camera is there, or is it an illusion in my mind? This is a philosophic question, and one that has huge ramifications for science. Just a second, looking at my notes. Science asks science studies the life cycle of animals and plants and living things, and philosophy would ask the question of, what does it mean to say something is alive? What is it about fungus, when we say fungus is alive, that we can relate to you and me, and that I'm alive? How are those things the same? What does it mean if we say a virus is alive? A virus doesn't reproduce itself. It has to depend on a host to reproduce for it. Yet we talk about viruses like they're alive. So that's a philosophic question of, what does it mean for something to be alive? Another thing is science depends on experimentation, and science looks for repeatable, predictable results. If you do the same experiment, you should have the same results, and then you can form a causal link. Philosophy asks the question, is there actually a causal link there? Or when an experiment is repeated 1,000 times and gives 1,000 of the same, confirms the same hypothesis 1,000 times, does that give us absolute knowledge? Do we have a new law of nature that we can set down? Or is it predictive knowledge? Can we say that based on past experience, we expect that this will happen again in the future if the experiment is performed again? That would be a statistical knowledge. It's likely to happen again. Or is it knowledge at all? There's a whole field of study in philosophy called epistemology that's only about what we can know and what it's accurate to call knowledge. Lastly, philosophy is rigorous. It's extremely rigorous. There's no guru sitting on a mountain spouting off things from thin air. That's not philosophy. Philosophers have invented entire languages to deal with to describe their theories, because the common languages like English and Greek and Latin and French and German just weren't precise enough. They couldn't convey the precise meaning that was needed. No philosopher makes a claim without a rigorous argument to back it up. So, for example, Descartes said, "I think, therefore I am." And that's very famous, and lots of people know that. But he didn't say that isolated. That was the culmination of a book that he wrote to explain his argument and to explain how he came to that conclusion. So philosophy is very rigorous, and that is all I've got to say on philosophy. So thanks for watching the video, and like it, stay tuned, go to thinkadoo.com, THINKAEDO.com, and I appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Thanks.